everyone.
Good morning.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening.
Good morning. It's a beautiful Sunday here in Miami.
Yes, it is.
Thank God it stopped raining.
Well, for now. Yesterday it poured.
Oh my God.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Ugly.
Yesterday it poured like crazy.
Yeah, these tropical storms are kicking our ass.
Oh my God. I went out yesterday and when I was leaving, I was about to leave and I waited because it was like pouring. Yeah. And I waited like 15 minutes. I'm like, this is not letting up. Let me just leave. And even still, when I went outside my house, I'm like, I think I need to wait a few more minutes. It was insane.
The good thing is that it starts pouring and in a few minutes, it stops.
The sun.
And then you got to make a run for it to the car. I do that with my daughter. I'm like, come on, Lauren, run! Run to the car, and then it starts drenching, pouring, downpour again.
Yes. Yeah, that's what I did yesterday. I made a run for it when it was just like a little bit, like it wasn't, totally like, but no, still, I don't think it stopped raining yesterday.
No, yesterday it stopped.
That song, the whole sun thing reminds me of that song. Oh, here comes the sun. I love that song. George Harrison. And it's gonna be, what's it? It's all right.
Yes. Anywho, so that's a good segue into our...
Isn't it funny how music just,
brings back so many good memories. Mm-hmm. Some bad too, though.
Yes.
Which...
Yeah. Bad or sad ones.
Or sad, yeah. Those, I don't like those. Or how about when we torture ourselves and we just listen to misery music when we're sad?
When we're sad and when we're just like broke up with somebody or somebody broke up with us.
And slit the wrist, LPs.
That is what you need.
Playlist. It's the Slit Your Wrist playlist.
Canciones cortavena. That's what you need to do to get it out of your system, to cry it out. That's what you need to
do. And you walk around your house because then you're in solitude and you hibernate and then you're listening to the misery music. But hopefully that heals the soul.
I know. Because you let it out. You drain. You drain all the sadness out of you.
And then here comes the sun. Anyway, today we're going to talk about music.
Yes.
Your childhood memories, your Cuban childhood memories, and any other wonderful memories that may not be Cuban that you may have.
Yeah. So. It's all about how music, I guess, triggers those memories, from your childhood, from whatever, like your first love, the first time you bound chicka bound.
Isn't it amazing? Like you could be doing nothing, right? Yes. You hear a song and all of a sudden it takes you back to that time.
Yes, absolutely.
It's incredible.
Yeah. Or it puts you in the mood. Some songs just put you in the mood, whatever mood. Whatever mood is like, ay, no. Esto está muy triste. Let's put some Celia Cruz. Let's put some music to liven this up.
There's a song by Billie Eilish. I like the song. It's called Tough Guy. But every time it comes on the radio...
The creepy song?
I call it the creepy song. Because it's so creepy.
So you're a tough guy. Like you're really tough.
And then it's like, because I wear your cologne. I'm like, oh my God, you're so creepy.
Very talented, though. Very talented girl.
Yes, she is. Yes. She is.
But, yeah, the other day, actually, there was a very famous Spanish singer that passed away, Camilo Sesto. Mm-hmm. Like, awesome songs. Like, I remember, hearing his songs when I was a young girl, like, 8 or 9 or 10 years old in Cuba, listening to his songs and singing his songs and whatnot. And he passed away. And I was like, it totally brought me back because I used to sing. There was like a song that I used to share. We used to constantly sing it with my friend in Cuba. And a friend of ours, a mutual friend of ours, texted me. She's like, oh my God, my dad is so sad. And I was like, oh, that's just probably because he's remembering, like his youth. He probably
them back to that time. And
he probably was dating some girl back then. And, who knows? Like, that's what it, just totally brought back memories from him.
That's like when Celia died. Mm-hmm. And I remember Miami was like devastated.
Yes.
And when they had her funeral viewing at the Freedom Tower, and that went on for how many days? And there was like so many thousands of people there. It was amazing.
And even them knowing that they couldn't really see her, like they couldn't, I don't think they could even like go inside, most of the people or something. I'm not sure, but it was like, I mean, I didn't go, but it was televised and everything. It was insane. Yeah. But she was like,
big.
she was an icon for the Cuban community. I mean, for sure. Like, totally deserved.
This is true. This is so true. So anyway, we did a little research, and research shows that music and memory are closely related. Mm-hmm. So music can also elicit memories from a particular time in your life, trigger forgotten emotions.
Wow.
Interesting.
That is interesting.
About relationships, love, joy, fun, tragedy, heartbreak, or loss. Mm-hmm. And also the mind creates a place deep inside where the memories are stored. And then when you hear the songs, it brings you back those vivid recollections. Yeah. And I think that's so true.
Yeah, so the music like taps into like that
the subconscious even. Mm-hmm. Like it'll just, like what I was saying earlier, you're not thinking of anything, all of a sudden a song comes on that you haven't heard in ages, and all of a sudden you remember like all the little details that happened during that time. Yeah, it's incredible. So also, not only is emotion felt in music itself, but the notes and the chords trigger your emotions from a song. And I was thinking about that as I was researching, and that's so true, at least for me. Like when I listen to a song and I hear the musical chords and the notes, sometimes those notes will exude certain emotion. Yeah. They cannot say a word, but the music itself, as it's playing, like you have a lot of classical music. When they're playing that piano,
well, hello.
And it's like, run for your life, Forrest.
I mean, we can talk for hours and days about, just think about music and movies. I think it's fantastic that there's like an award, special award for like an Oscar for just the music, just the score and just the song. And sometimes you hear the song and you're like, that's not nominated. But when you hear that song in the scene, when those two things are together, they totally complement each other. And you're like, oh my God. But if you see that scene with that song is like the perfect thing for that scene. That, they totally like the song plays in the emotions of the actors and the actresses and vice versa. And I mean, it's amazing how the song makes the scene come alive and vice versa. Yep. And that's so cool. And, even like, the score, like a lot of the score is just, it's instrumental. Mm-hmm. It's not, there's no words, and you still like, my God, E.T. Da, 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 da. I mean, you hear that and you're like, oh my God. Not only does it remind you of E.T., but like the first time you watched E.T., if you were little, like it's just all these things like, oh my God, like,
when it's flying and you're on the bicycle, flying in the sky and all that. It's so,
it's amazing, how those things like evoke. I know when I do a little bit of, I dabble in writing, it's like a little hobby of mine. And when I'm writing a scene, it totally, especially when I'm having trouble writing that scene, I'm like, okay, I need to listen to like some songs that maybe trigger or bring out this emotion to like write the song, whether it's like a sexy scene or whether it's like a sad scene, and you definitely go through your playlist like, oh, this song totally will help me with this.
Oh my God, sad scenes. You put on the crying songs. Hit the sad playlist.
Well, you have your playlist. I have my playlist on YouTube, and sometimes I'm like, no, I can listen to this. No, I need something happy. Let me see. Let me look for Justin Timberlake.
Lately, I've been
happy
listening,
or whatever.
I love the Camila Cabello song "Liar."
Oh,
have you heard it?
I've heard it once.
I love it. And so I looked it up on YouTube and I saw the video. Oh my God, I can't stop laughing in the beginning because she acts like a newscaster. Yeah. But she's like dingy. Mm-hmm. And there's two other girls with her too. And every single time I hear this, I crack up out loud by myself. And she goes, oh yeah. So she was like, wow, that's like, she won something about Zuckerberg, and then when she breaks up with the guy, she goes more like down on his Luckerberg. I can't, every time she goes, I can't stop laughing. I think it's so funny.
I haven't seen the video, but like lately, you remember that show? I think it was on VH1 that it was like, or maybe it was MTV. I don't remember. The making of, and it was like the video, like how they made the video. Do they still have that show?
I have no idea. I don't watch that anymore.
I used to love that show. especially when you're like, you were listening to a song, like, when I was like totally like into Britney Spears.
I loved music videos when they came out.
There's videos, I guess, are coming back now. There's more videos now, but not as much as before. Before, like, every song had its own video.
Yeah. The video release was like,
yes,
like anticipatory. You were like, oh my God, I can't wait till it comes out.
Correct. And now it's like, I find myself like, oh, I like the song. Oh, let me look for the video to see. I don't know. It's like the image. I want to see like if it goes with the song or whatever.
Sometimes
like, I don't know.
Don't. And no, I'm like, what is this about?
Sometimes it's like, I don't get it.
It's so weird.
But I used to love that. Like when it was like, especially when I was like totally into Britney Spears, that she would do like the whole making of and behind the scenes. And oh my God, I loved it. And then at the end of the show, it was like the premiere of the video. Yeah. Then you would watch the video.
That was so cool.
Oh my God.
I love
I don't do that anymore.
So what are some memories that you have, like growing up in Cuba and music in your household?
Well, I totally remember that part when I left Cuba when I was 10. So I really don't have a lot of memories like growing up, but I definitely remember that part of like Camilo Sesto singing a specific song with my friend because it was like a new song and we totally were like singing it all the time. I remember my dad it's me and my sisters and I'm the youngest. And there's a song by ABBA called Chiquitica. And he would call me Chiquitica. Yeah. So he would sing that song to me, Chiquitica, por qué, so whatever. Mm-hmm. So I totally, every time I listen to a song, I'm like, think of my dad. Mm-hmm. And actually I don't know if you've heard, like both the Beatles and ABBA, the iconic, obviously everybody knows who they are. There's like two groups that imitate them. And they tour, I think it's the whole United States and probably even like Europe or whatnot. We went to see ABBA a couple years ago.
The real ABBA?
No. The real ABBA is not. They totally need to do a comeback. They need to do at least one freaking concert, and they refuse. Really? And I hate that because my God,
are they like
they would totally. I don't think they are, but I think they kind of like made the decision like, no, we are never gonna do this again. Like we're never like we had enough. Like that's it because there were like two guys and two girls. Mm-hmm. They were both married to each other like twice. Like everybody kind of like paired up.
Oh wow.
The blonde with the guy and the brunette, the redhead with the other one, and then they switched, and it was like
they switched.
Yeah, I think they did. Gosh, I think they all dated and slept with the four.
Oh wow, free love.
Well, tour bus, whatever, like But anyway, they we went to see ABBA with my mom. Like we took her, and it was like. She was totally like, oh my God, like you totally believe that it's them because they sing the songs and they dress like them and they kind of look like them.
They
and
wear wigs.
And when they sang Chiquitica, I was like, oh my God. I was like bawling because that totally brought me back.
Didn't they use that song too in Mamma Mia?
Yeah. Well, and
a lot of those ABBA songs.
In both Mamma Mias, and actually in the second part, one of the guys, which I don't know their names. I don't know the band members' names. But the one that's like a little bit chubbier, he comes out, he does like a cameo in the second part, like playing the piano. But they were like just music geniuses. The songs that these people wrote, amazing. It's amazing.
And like Fleetwood Mac too, when you were talking about that, I remember Stevie Nicks had her little thing going on there with
yes. Yeah. Well, all of these musicians, the mamas and the papas and all those people.
Esos mamas and papas estaban de madre.
And going back, like the same thing as ABBA, like the Beatles had the same thing. And it was the name of the group that imitates, and there's two actually, but I've only seen one of them. It's called Rain. I think it's RAINN. So I'm not sure what it stands for. And my sister and I surprised my parents, like we took them. My parents are like totally, that was like their era, like the Beatles. And the show, how I remember, it opens like it's the Ed Sullivan Show.
Oh,
so
cool.
They announce it like, and now, and they put like an actual clip of, they do this throughout the show actually. And they have like the Ed Sullivan Show, like announcing like the Beatles or whatever. And then the show opens. I looked to my mom and she was like bawling. She was like totally crying because she was like, it totally took her back to that time. They never, obviously in Cuba, they never saw them in person. They never went to Cuba to play or anything. So when they saw that, they were like, it was amazing. And they loved it. They were just like singing along and like, broken English, like how they
English.
learned the songs. And at the end, the guy, they had him play Jude, and that's my dad's favorite song. And he was like, what do you mean they're not playing? What do you mean? And then they left, how they usually do. And then people, you got to stay. You got to stay for the encore. Never leave.
Your parents are newbies. They don't know what's going on.
No, we're like, we're staying. We're
relax,
staying.
They're going to play Jude. Relax.
They came back, and sure enough, they played Jude. And we had like better seats because a lot of people had left.
They didn't play
so
Hey
we just
Dude.
Go. No. No, they didn't play Hey Dude, thank God.
That was funny.
Yeah. No, but it's so awesome how music just can make a day better, can make a day however,
It's amazing.
Yeah.
Well, I told you that, like, I have very vivid dreams, right? So because I share them with you. But that I had a dream not too long ago where I heard this song, like, blasted. Remember I told you it was the theme from The Love Boat. And I was like, what the hell? And it just woke me up so fast. And then I just remembered, like, all this stuff when I was younger, and I used to watch The Love Boat and the song, and then I had to Google the song, right? Because I'm like, what are the words to the song? I don't know. All I know is the Love Boat.
Soon you'll be something.
Making
I never
another
watched.
run, blah, blah, blah.
I never watched.
And then I was like, wait a second. Google lyrics. And then, it kind of made sense, what was happening in that time frame. Why I was hearing this, song on super high volume that woke me up. Thank you, universe.
Well, but that's, because I've had dreams with songs too, and not necessarily that I know which song is playing, but sometimes when you Google, because I have very vivid dreams too, and I'm always like, oh, I wonder what that means. And I look it up, and it always tells you if the song is like a cheerful song, then this could be happening in your life, or it's like, expect happy news or whatever. And if you hear like if the tone is like, down up, down up.
Yeah,
then it's like,
we don't like those songs or those dreams.
Yeah.
No. Send it back. Send it back to where it came from. But you know what? I remember because I was born in Cuba. But I was. And I came to the States, I think, when I was like 6 months old. So I didn't know nothing of Cuba. No. But my parents, yes.
They took care of that.
Yeah. My grandmother, everybody. Yeah. Basically. So I remember living in Queens, and we had this big piece of furniture that had like a slide top on the top of the furniture, and in there was the record player. Oh, okay. We weren't allowed to touch it because you can't touch anything.
So that was like the whole furniture was built for that.
Yeah, it was so cool. Yeah. It had the speakers, were
so
covered with like a fabric.
So that's how
was decorative.
That's how the record players were built, whatever, back then. Yeah.
And I remember like being obsessed with this piece of furniture. First of all, because you're young, you're little, and all you do is open and close the slide, right? So it was like, what, Daddy? What are you doing? And I was like, nothing.
You were probably obsessed with it because I told you couldn't play with it or you couldn't touch it.
Don't touch the record player, you're going to break it, whatever. Anyway, so, and then we had the yellow couch with brocade fabric and the plastic on it.
Of course.
Because you need the plastic.
You need the plastic.
Because you can't sit on the couch.
No, you can't. Eso para visita. Number one. Para la visita.
Tú vas a sentar en el sofá. Siéntate en el piso. I'm exaggerating, but kind of, sort of like that.
Yes.
And then we had this ugly olive green brocade.
Of course.
That matches the same brocade as the yellow.
Complement, yes.
Yes.
Green and yellow.
Green and yellow go together.
Green and yellow. The song had it right. Had it right all the time.
And also covered in plastic. And I remember my mother used to play like all these Cuban songs. And I remember the first time I heard Guantanamera. Oh my God. I was like, what is this? Because, I'm in New York and I'm really little. And I'm like, what is this song? And everybody was so happy. They would put it on. And it was like, Guantanamera.
Was that like the first time like it was released? That's when it was like... I
have no idea, but I heard this and I was like, what is this music? But I remember I really liked it, and me and my siblings would like jump around the house and dance to it. And of course then it was like you created monsters, because my mother was like, yeah! Because we would like, put it again. And then you're like, my mother was like, yeah! And then one of my favorite songs was La Chiva Blanca.
The hell?
De Don José.
Oh, I don't know who the
either
of people are.
José, yo no sé quién was the singer of this song, but I was obsessed.
How does it go?
With the record album. All I know is like Chiva Blanca de Don José.
But what do you mean, the picture of the record?
Yes.
Okay.
And it was so weird because it was like a wash, like a wash type effect, con un guajiro y una chiva. Blanca. And then it had like a wash effect of like pinkish, purpley, like very light. And it was, but I was fascinated. I was like, oh my God, I love this record.
You had a very limited exposure to art, didn't you?
I really did not, but like I remember that so vividly. And that song, I don't know why I love that song so much.
How does it go?
I don't remember. All I know is like Chiva Blanca.
Oh no, we have to play it.
We'll play it after.
La Chiva Blanca. Let's see if we can find it on YouTube.
It's there. I found it.
My God.
When I was researching all the stuff for the episode, I found it. And funny. I thought it was hilarious. Because I was like, this is not the guy I remember that sang this. But, whatever. So, I mean, I grew up with music, like all around all the time. My dad played the guitar. I mean, he thought he was like grand guitarist. At one point,
how many songs did he know?
Probably 2. But you know how Cubans are.
Yeah.
They grab any instrument and they make music.
Yes.
And so it's like my dad would play some chords and it could have been the same chords to every single song. But, it went.
Yeah.
It went together. And then everybody would sing and dance and run around. And, it was fun. And then food comes into play because you always have food.
Yes.
And
dude, there's songs about food. I remember my mom used to work at this place, and the owner of the daughter of the owner, she was like a young, American girl, and she was like, ¿qué es eso? Que los cubanos tienen canción hasta para la comida, ustedes le cantan a todo. And she was like, sí, it's like, arroz con picadillo, or hello, quimbombo que rebala para la yuca seca. She was like, ¿qué es eso? Una canción a quimbombo.
I know. It's crazy. But it's so... Listen, I don't know. Growing up in my household and then also like as I got older, I didn't have that as much because then, you grow up, you're in New York, you have a different mindset, us, the kids.
Yeah.
And then you kind of come back to it because then as you get older... the family grows and then now I'm in Miami, it's a different environment. So it's more of the whole Cuban, connection, the music, the memories, the food, everything. So it's funny how it all comes full circle. But
well, you went through like a big, I mean, and being introduced to like Cuban music in New York, and then like what year was this? Like, and maybe the 80s is when you came, that was the whole break dance thing and the whole, the music was just like pop and music was just like when it was
freestyle, and then we had disco was always around, I think, right? That was in like the 70s. But in the late 70s is when I kind of started listening to that stuff. But then it transitioned. Like I was always in and around the music, but then as I grew, it veered from the Spanish more into the English, and then now it's kind of a mix.
Yeah.
And that's what I try to teach my daughter too. And so she walks around the house singing Guantanamera. She was singing it yesterday. I'm like, where'd you get that from? I don't know.
Well, when I was little, I didn't. I mean, nobody in my family plays an instrument or anything, but we were always listening to music. Especially, I think there was a show. I mean, this is Cuba in the 70s or early 80s. So television still today was like very limited. Like you only had like maybe 2 or 3 channels. Okay, all the cartoons, all the cartoons were basically from Russia, or maybe 1 or 2 from Cuba that were done in Cuba. But anyway, there was a music show. I think it was called Para Bailar. I'm sure there were many more, but the one that I remember was like Para Bailar, and it was like every Sunday. And when that show came on, it's like everything stopped. You know, like everybody was just sat down on the front of the TV and just watched that, and it was all about dancing. I think it was like a competition. It was like a dancing competition type of thing.
Oh wow, Cuba was ahead of its time. Now we
Dancing
have
with the Stars. Yeah,
con las estrellas.
I don't think there were stars back then. It was just couples that would just volunteer and go to the show.
A bailar.
And it was just about dancing, and it was like all about the music and everything. I think we had un tocadisco también, is what they're called, a record player, tocadisco.
El tocadisco.
Yeah. And we had like the LPs and everything and all of that. And I remember, now that, you know, bringing back memories, I remember when we were leaving Cuba, okay? I remember like that summer or like the week before that we were like packing and everything. My grandparents didn't know that we were leaving because you had to keep everything like hush hush back then. Mm-hmm. And I remember listening to like a lot of songs. Like we always had like the radio playing or whatever. And every song that came on, I remember me and my sister were like, every song is like, it sounds like we're leaving or whatever.
How do they know?
Weird? Like every song has to do with like what we're doing. We're like, I know, it's so weird. I totally remember that, having that conversation with my sister, like, that's so weird. And every time I was home, I'm like, oh my God.
That's when you know your conscience is like
yes.
weighing on you when you think everything is, yeah.
I remember. I totally brought back memories.
That's funny that you said that because when I went to Cuba many years ago,
mm-hmm.
I had to go because I had to visit a family member, whatever. I had never been. And I remember clicking the channels on the television. I'm like, what the hell is this?
That's it? This is the same
5
channel.
channels. And it was so boring. It was like novela, news, I don't know what. And like...
La Mesa Redonda. That's all they have. That's like, you know, on Sundays, I think they had like 2 movies. You know, that was all there was. Yeah, novela for sure every whatever 7 or something at night. But here we always, especially when we first got here, for the longest time, every New Year's Eve was spent with like, you know, the same people. Like we always got together with the same group of people. And there was somebody who did have a guitar and who did play the guitar, who was a part of like a trio, and they used to play in like restaurants or whatever. So the guy would always bring his guitar, and we would always hacíamos la fiesta y la noche con el hombre. And it was always, siempre le pedíamos la misma canción. Canta la María. Y era, a María le gusta la piña pelada. And it was like double meaning, whatever. Yeah. So that part we always did have music, and siempre, you know, somebody had un par de maraca or whatever, so siempre hacíamos la noche con eso.
That's funny because now that you said that too, I remember when I moved here from New York, and so my cousins, one in particular, he's like un guarachero de esto, like big time. Mm-hmm. Like he's always out dancing, he loves music and whatever. So when he used to have parties at his house, all the guys would bring some form of instrument, right? And so they will, oh my God, lo que se amaba era un show, el guayo, las maracas, el tambor, la guitarra. Everybody would go crazy. One day I was like, préstame el guayo ese, and I was like trying to do the guayo. Chica, ¿de dónde tú vienes? I was like, ¿tú eres cubana o tú eres gringa? I was like, I guess I'm gringa. I go,
is that as easy? Yeah, is that as easy as it looks? Yeah.
And then I'm here like scraping, and he goes, así no, chica. Así no. But it's like to get that beat with the guayo.
Yes, it's hard.
Yeah, you have to have a lot of upper arm strength too to maintain that.
I was always like, yeah. No, it is, yeah.
It is.
It is hard.
I mean, it's fun if you know what you're doing, but...
I was always like, okay, las claves, I can do las claves, I can do la pandereta, you know. What's the thing called, though? How do you call a pandereta in English?
The tambourine.
The tambourine. Yeah. That's what I would play. The tambourine, and that's it. Those were my only 2 instruments.
Remember when we went to celebrate my birthday at that Cuban thing, and el viejo loco ese gave me a tambourine? And he grabbed me into the band, and I was like, okay, I guess I'm part of the band now with the tambourine.
Let me tell you, talking about like live music and like a place, I went this past week to Happy Hour, Mojitos. Oh my God, the music was amazing.
They always have a really good live band.
I don't know if it was the same guys every day. It was only 2 guys, but it was incredible.
Oh, they changed it then.
It did not stop. I mean, they did not stop, honestly. Like, we were there from 5 to 8, and they did not stop singing and playing. I think it was maybe... Dude, maybe like 5 minutes here and there. And then as soon as they stopped, it was like DJ. You know, it was like the music did not stop for those 3 hours.
No, they always have really good music.
And everybody was dancing. I mean, I totally recommend it. Mojitos, happy hour, 5 to 8, Monday through Friday. Go. Actually, I think it's Monday through Thursday, if I'm not mistaken. I'm not sure. Check it out.
And what about weekends?
Weekends, well, actually, we left like a little bit after 8, and there was like another band setting up. But I think there's like the main band. I think it's like at 10 p.m.
I think I had gone there on a
and
Saturday
there's a cover charge,
and they had
I think,
a band. Mm-hmm. Yeah, they did. They always have music there. It's really good.
Yeah, really, really good music.
Just.
Going back to the El Guayo, remember the joke? That it was like this guy goes to hire a band for like a party. And he's like, oye, tú sabes, ¿cuánto cuesta, sabes, tener una banda en el party? O sea, bueno, mira, te puedo poner 2 guitarras, tú sabes, un piano, unos tambores, las claves, el guayo y la pandereta, whatever. Eso te sale en $1,200. No, un poquito más barato, ¿sabes? Un poquito. Bueno, mira, te puedo meter una guitarra, una cosa de los drums, tú sabes, la batería, el guayo, las claves y la pandereta. ¿Y cuánto sale eso? $7.50. No, un poquito más. Dame otro paquete. Bueno, te puedo poner un piano, o sea, un piano, no, una pianola, una guitarra, el guayo y las claves. Chico, pero quítame el guayo. Y dice, coño, espera, el guayo soy yo. No te lo puedo quitar porque el guayo soy yo. Porque está abajo.
Te doy un plátano. Vaca chifla.
Yes.
How about that?
Does
that work for you? But yeah, so, and then, you know, as I grew up and then things started changing or whatever, we started listening to different types of music. And I remember my mother would always play like Willie Chirino. Mm-hmm. And then she would play like these other people too, like some jazzy kind of Cuban music. And it was...
Well, you love jazz.
Yeah. I love jazz music.
So talk about not having any... Well, I guess there's jazz with lyrics too, right? I mean, I don't know anything about jazz.
Yeah, you have.
It's not just instruments.
It's not just instruments, but it's more instruments really. But then you do have some jazz artists that sing and have the accompaniment of the jazz music in the background. Mm-hmm. But it's more like I forget the guy's name that I heard maybe about a year and a half ago. I really should.
What, live or?
Well, I saw his performance live on YouTube. He was amazing. His name is Nelson Rangel, and he's such a talented jazz musician. He plays the sax, the piccolo flute, the clarinet, and then he does this song. It's called Sonora, and he whistles throughout the song. The range that the guy has, not only in whistling, you know, because you need to use your vocal cords, your diaphragm, everything. But that, along with the harmonica, the flute, everything he used, oh my God, you have to listen to it. It's just beyond amazing.
I will check it out for sure.
Anyway, so yeah, so we started listening to different types of music also when we grew up, and I just remember like all this new sound and, you know, bringing back all these memories. Like when I hear Willie Chirino now, you know, and the song that came out not too long ago, how many years ago maybe, Ya Viene Llegando.
Oh my God.
You know, that's every Cuban's favorite song.
Yeah, that's a Cuban anthem for
and I remember hearing that for the first time. And now, mind you, I don't have that bond with Cuba that my parents have, or
the history,
my cousins
of course,
and my aunts have that came in the 80s. Yeah. But I hear it and I feel it, you know, if that makes any sense. Like I feel the connection. I feel the hope. I feel the faith. I feel all those things. And when I hear it, I'm like, oh, you know, it's amazing how people from their native land never lose that hope.
Never.
And it's so beautiful because it comes through in this music that you listen to, and of course it comes through because the artist that's portraying it is exuding that from their own experiences and memories, and you know, so it's a great connection.
I mean, a really good singer. It's somebody that not only has a good voice and rhythm or whatever, but has that ability to like connect with the audience and to like really exude that whatever it is that you're singing about, to feel it, because otherwise, you know, it's just whatever, it doesn't really connect with you, or it doesn't really like resonate with you. And every time I hear that song, whether I think sometimes like, ay, Dios mío, you know, like whatever, I can't help it. I guess I get goosebumps. Sometimes I end up crying. Sometimes, you know, because it's very like, it tells a story of like every single Cuban immigrant. I mean, it's like, and when the Cubans were in Guantanamo, you know, and Celia went to sing, and that's another thing that music does, is it heals you, and you know, it really has that ability too. And how many singers go to like see, you know, how many famous musicians go and like visit their fans in like hospitals or whatnot, because you know they couldn't. You know, the Jonas Brothers just went to see like this guy that couldn't make it to their concert, and it was, you know, they went, and how healing must have that have been, and how amazing, and it just totally changes. I'm sure that made that little kid's day, you know, to have his favorite band go and like check them out. And in Cuba, there was another thing, not television, but the radio. Like another thing, like my parents always listened to the radio. I think there was like this specific show called Nocturno, and it was all about this guy kind of like introducing new artists, especially like the Beatles, like a lot of, you know, the Mamas and the Papas and things like that. So this show Nocturno was this guy kind of like introducing singers to, you know, Cuba. And a lot of people didn't, obviously there was no way of seeing them like on TV or anything, so they didn't know what they looked like. And it wasn't until like recently, I'm telling you, maybe like 10 years, that they were talking about it, and I was like, oh, you know, the Tom Jones, they were talking about Tom Jones. And I was like, oh yeah, I think he's black, or tiene de negro. And my parents were like, what? Like they had no idea what the guy looked like. So they had like all these musicians and all these songs. Wow. They didn't know what they looked like. So they always started looking. I showed them like the Mamas and the Papas, and they were like, oh my God. Like they had no idea. That was like
censorship, right?
No, totally. Like they had no idea what any of the artists that they had been like singing, you know, they had no idea what they looked like. That's and my mom was like, oh my God, mira, Chino, mira, Tom Jones. Y mira, like, oh my God. Like they were totally like.
That's too like with Elvis, you know, when they would only show him from like the high waist up. So like you couldn't see what he was doing because he was like too sexy.
Back then it was too sexy. Yeah.
It's crazy. Anyway, there's this, do you remember this movie? It's called Dance With Me with Cheyenne. Oh my God, so hot.
Yes.
And Vanessa Williams.
Yes.
So on the soundtrack, there's this song. It's called Patria by Rubén Blades.
Okay.
Have you ever heard it?
I don't know, but I mean, I would have. I know. I know the other famous de él. Oh my God, I'm forgetting all these songs. Not that one.
This song Patria. I remember the first time I heard it because I was obsessed with this movie. Right? Because
I love that movie.
It's a fun movie, and Cheyenne is hot.
I love when she comes out singing that samba thing. I love that samba song.
And I love all the songs from the movie. And then I listened to the soundtrack, and that song came on. And I remember I was in my car and I start crying because it was such a connection to Cuba, and it was such a weird thing that I was crying because
he was like, very like from New York too. He's like a New York guy.
And I was like, and he has such an amazing voice. And then you hear the instruments on their own, you know, like telling their story, and I'm in my car driving, and the tears are just rolling down my face. And I'm like, why am I crying? And it was because it's such a, the title says it all, Patria. You know, it's like, it's a telling song about, you know, your country. Whatever your country's from, and whatever you're from. People, and your relationship with your family, and everything that encompasses that, you know, and the way he sings it. You have to hear it. Everybody has to hear that song.
I never, maybe I've heard it, but from the title, I don't know.
But it's no, that song, I was like, what? But I love it. And then, you know, sometimes I play it because I have the CD, you know, I throw it in my car or whatever, and I hear it, and I'm like, okay, I can't leave the song on for too long because then I start crying.
Here comes the part of the song. No, I can't listen to that.
Switch. Abort.
Well, another famous of his songs is Pedro Navaja. That's the funniest song. Yes. It's so well written. Like he's so good. That
song is, that's a favorite of a lot of people.
Yeah. Another songs that you hear about your country, like that, like Patria, but there's a lot of music and dancing and dances that have come from the culture.
Yep.
So they complement each other. Like I know cumbia, I heard one time, I was like, what? You know how you dance cumbia? That is basically just one, you're basically moving just one foot. And that's because it comes from the slaves. When they were chained, they only had one free foot. And they would dance. That's like the dance. Y cuando hacen así, para abajo, it's like como el machete, like recogiendo. Yeah, it's like, when I heard that one time, I was like, oh my God, that's so sad.
Do you ever, like, feel the ancestry of it all? Like, when you're hearing un chango, or when you're hearing Afro-Cuban music playing, there's no words, but you just feel that. Like, do you feel that? Do you feel like
I have to dance?
Like, yeah, like it just consumes you, and you're like, in it.
Yeah.
Like,
Guaguancó.
Yeah, eso.
Yeah.
Eso mismo.
We have my cousin's mom. She is like, that whole family is like super like dance. They're always dancing. But especially her mom, and especially when a guaguancó comes on. And this lady could not be whiter. I mean, she even has like gray hair. Okay, completely. She's like super white, whatever. When guaguancó comes on, is like, déjale the dance, yes. And all the guys, because everybody knows, obviously, we've been to like enough parties, and all the guys sacan el pañuelo, empiezan a bailar con ella, and she's like in her, maybe I think 60s or 70s.
I love that.
And she loves it. I mean, shout out to, my cousin's mom.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
It's so cool. Like, I watch it. Now, mind you, I'm una gringa from New York coming, and I see this for the first time, and I'm like, oh my God, this is so cool.
I think it's just in our blood. Like, whenever a music comes on, you're like you just know instinctively, I think, how to move. I think it's just like, okay, this is how you do it. And little babies,
too, like in Spanish households, you put on the music, and they're already, like, wiggling and dancing, and it's, it's just, I don't know. I can't imagine my life without music.
No.
I really can't.
I can't imagine that movie Footloose. They couldn't play. They couldn't dance.
I know.
Remember?
That's terrible.
Like, that's crazy. So then he comes on. Kevin Bacon comes on. It's like, turns the whole town. I love that movie. Oh my God. How many movies? Dirty Dancing, Footloose, that it's all about. I used to be so like into musicals and everything. Chicago. Oh, that's such a good movie.
Chicago's so awesome.
Such a good movie.
That really is.
Well, though, that soundtrack's amazing.
But yeah, so I don't know. I just think music is essential to my life. I try to instill all of that also in my daughter. She loves music. She's always like, that's my jam.
Yeah,
she's like, that's my jam.
Whatever song, because she has a different jam every week. What? That's my jam.
Where'd you get that from? No, and I'm surprised. Sometimes she comes here and she's like singing 70 songs and 80 songs. I'm like, where'd you hear that? She says, in school.
Like, that's cool.
Oh, okay.
I think about I think we have such a good music education in the sense that we have been exposed to so many things, salsa, qué sé yo, pop, breakdance, jazz, all the golden era, the Beatles, the ABBA, like in Spanish, in English, like all these things.
You have your
salsa,
your
merengue,
crooners, your Frank Sinatra,
yes,
your all that music. It's amazing.
But then I think of like the generation now. What the hell are they gonna have? I see dura. Yeah. Ay, ¿te acuerdas cuando Osuna?
Despacito. Despacito.
No, esa por lo menos esa va. That's gonna stand the test of time.
Pero
that's all they're gonna have, reggaeton. That is all they're gonna have.
Bad Bunny.
Reggaeton, Cardi B. That is all the music
they're gonna have. I love you, Cardi B.
But dude, it's like, come on, can we like expand it a little bit? Imagínate tú. Oh my God.
This is why I think it's so important to teach your children and expose them to your music. Because I do that with my daughter, and she's responsive. She absorbs it. She likes it.
But good shit is good shit, bro.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't matter, like when you hear good shit, you know that it's good shit.
I put like 102.7 The Beach.
Yes.
Because they play all old type songs. And she's like, Mom, is that from the old days? I was like, geez.
The olden days.
Thanks. I'm not that old. But yes. And so then, I have her listen to it, and she likes it. Yeah. First, she thought when she heard Michael Jackson that it was a woman. So I was like, no, Lauren, it's a man. A high-pitched voice man, but it's a man.
That was my Michael Jackson impression.
Yes. So, yeah, but I have her listening to everything.
De pie, sentado, se te cae la truza.
Oh my God.
Do you know why that is?
No.
Okay, that was in Cuba. We translate things because that's how we hear them. So
what song was it really?
Okay, that's Michael Jackson's. What is it? Everybody get to the ground.
Oh my God, that's so funny.
You ask any Cuban, cántame la canción de Michael Jackson, de pie, sentado, se te cae la truza. Hand to God. Every Cuban that's listening to this, you know that's true.
That's so funny.
And hello, Queen. Another one bites the dust. Yeah. This is a little bit dirty, people. Okay, so if you have kids, turn them away. Abre las patas y goza.
Oh my God. Where the hell did that come from?
Dude, that's like how we hear them. We had to translate it. We had to sing along. We didn't know English, so.
Dios mío. Que descanse en paz.
And with that,
we're going to play you La Chiva Blanca.
La Chiva Blanca.
De Don Jose.
There you go. Thank you for listening. Listen to music all week long. Yes. Enjoy it. Hasta Put it on blast when you like a song. Hasta la bye bye. Thank you for listening. Bye bye. Sing it, Jay.
Siempre me acuerdo de aquellos tiempos cuando gozábamos. En una linda mañana le pregunté. Le di tierra, mujer, mandarlo y cimenté. La chiva blanca de Don José vamos a esconder. Vista con tu estético siempre de los bohemios. Donde hicieron chica y troncoso aquella canción. Reportaron como colega Pereira voz. Con los dobritos que le dio brillo a la inspiración.
You hear the sheep? The chiva? Hi everyone, we're on YouTube, Google Play Music, Spotify, Radio Public. Remember, share, like, and subscribe.